Well, I did miss yesterday. Sorry about that. It wasn't super intentional. I was just out for the day and didn't jump online. So I'm going to do day 4 and 5 together today. And speaking about my passions again is the purpose of this challenge. And two things that I'm really passionate about that I think kind of interlink, so they might cross over each other a little bit in this video, is just truth and authenticity. They are of massive importance to me. And truth, I think, always has been, like, even as a kid, like, kind of, well, I was reared like in that idea that you can't break a promise, you don't tell lies, you don't be dishonest. It wasn't something that you did. And like qualities in a friend, well, they're honest, they're trustworthy, like trust, truth, honesty, they were all so important to me growing up. And I nearly felt like I would have felt really uncomfortable within myself if I was telling a lie because of that, I guess, conditioning in a way, but because of that priming to be an honest person, to be a truth teller, to be someone who values truth. It was always within me, and I would have felt like so wrong if I wasn't telling the truth and if I wasn't being honest and connecting to that within myself. And as I've grown up, I've realized just how important to me that that still is. That it's not just, some things maybe as a kid it's instilled in you, and then you're like, okay, maybe it is actually okay to break the rules sometimes, or maybe it is actually okay to think independently or do what I feel like. But this one definitely stuck around. I definitely still highly value truth, and I highly value telling the truth, but also finding the truth, living the truth, being connected to the truth in all areas. And for me, it's just been this beautiful unraveling and unfolding and discovery of what actually the truth is, what the truth means, and how the world isn't necessarily set up on truth. It's not built on a lot of truth. There is a lot of mistruths. There's a lot of narratives and made up stuff that is away from the truth. And there's a lot of kind of illusion and misinformation or different things that are just perpetuated to convey a certain perspective or to illuminate certain areas of things. And that is what it is. It's just kind of part of the world that we live in. But it's interesting getting to the root of what is the truth, getting to the root of, well, is that actually how things are? And I found, like, even through my own journey, it's interesting how the truth has kind of been uncovered and kind of been unveiled in different areas of my life. So say, for example, like when I was experiencing an eating disorder, when I was really depressed and anxious, and looking to the media, looking outside of myself, you see magazines and things like this, like your size is the most important thing, or celebrity stuff, like the way that people write about stuff like that, or even like the beauty industry kind of preying on insecurities, different things like that. And I became more aware of like how things aren't set up necessarily to make you feel good. And I was like, God, that seems very dishonest. Or different things kind of woke me up to the idea that it's not necessarily truth that we're surrounded with. It's not necessarily truth that is in our vision all the time, that is in the programming and the media and the messaging that we are receiving. And that is what it is. It's up to us to discern it. And I think this year, very much so, has been really crucial for me to assert and find that discernment, to recognize like what is true, what isn't true, and to root through that. And I think by doing that, by coming back to that home within myself that really connects to the truth, that really is empowered by finding truth, I feel so much more connected to my own intuition. I feel more connected to actually figuring things out. Like for a long time I wasn't even comfortable forming an opinion or making a choice or decision about my own life, and now I've found that through my own exploration, through my own confidence building, through my own personal growth, that I trust myself a lot more. And by doing that, I can actually look objectively at the information that's outside of myself and be like, well, is that actually true? And even we do this in our own minds. Like I've shared Byron Katie's 4 questions before, where if we're thinking about a belief, or we're saying to ourselves, well, that shouldn't be like that, or this is how I am. It's like, well, is that true? Is that really true? Can I absolutely know that that's true? And if we do this with our surroundings, with the world around us, we can come home to truth much easier. We can connect to the truth. We can actually find that a lot of the things that we thought maybe are true, they're not. They're just something that somebody told us once and we never questioned, or there's something that keeps being said over and over again, and repeated theory becomes fact, but it's not fact. It's actually just a theory. It's actually just something that somebody's saying and we're taking it on. So I think by connecting to truth, it's really empowering. It really brings you home to your own personal power, to know that you don't have to just blindly put your trust in something outside of yourself. You don't have to just accept that these words that people are saying, maybe because they have some authority, that it's truth. It's not necessarily true. It's just something that somebody else is saying, and you have the power to decide what you're going to say, to decide how you're going to live, to decide what you're going to embody as a human and fucking own in your life. And you can discern that you have that power within you to do your own research, to not just be waylaid by certain things because they're sponsored by certain people, or like when you get under it, there's a lot of money talking a lot of the time under these narratives. There's a lot of power being pushed by financial gain. There's a lot of things like that where the truth is buried beneath a lot of things. So I just feel really passionate that like there is truth out there and that we're not always being shown it. And I think by honing in on that passion, that value I have within myself, it's been really empowering. It's been really um helpful for me, I think, to just come home to that within me, to reconnect to that, to see that, and to be able to make up my own mind, to be able to actually own my own choices. As I've said before, to me, freedom is owning my choices. And if I can choose what I believe, if I can choose the stories that I'm taking in, the information that I am aligning with, the information that aligns with me, if I can make these choices, it's much more empowering than just accepting somebody else's narrative, just being like, yeah, okay, I heard that on the news, that must be true. It's not how the world works, unfortunately. So that's been really powerful. The other thing I want to talk about is authenticity, and I didn't want this to be too long, but I'm very passionate about authenticity. And I think the reason as well is because for most of my life, I did not know who I was. I didn't know how to be myself. You'd hear that advice like, oh, just be yourself. It's like, who the fuck is that? Like, I don't know how to do that. Don't tell me to be myself. I don't have any sense of self. That's why I feel miserable. And it was like this interesting journey of finding myself. And because I went through like years of trying to find myself, of still finding myself, of still connecting to myself and loving that person and getting to know myself in different scenarios, environments, experiences, all of these things, it's this constant exploration. And because of that, with this idea of authenticity, I just feel like it's massively valuable. All I want to do is be myself now because I've realized the value of it. Again, we're told in so many different messages and informations and ways to not trust ourselves, to not be ourselves, to do things that other people are doing, to follow the crowd, to be accepted, to be the same as everyone else, to just be on that same page. And we're not always empowered to really own who we are. People say, yeah, just be yourself, but then you go and do it and they're like, oh, what are you doing? Why are you doing that for? Or there can be that like separation when you do try and own who you are. And I think it's too important to let go because of what other people might think, or to let it go because of that challenge of actually owning it, of being confident in who you are, especially if you're just finding your feet as that person. And I just feel so passionate that the reason we are all here as the people we are is because we matter as those people, is because those people, as unique, authentic human beings, have something individual to offer. Of course, we're not all meant to be the same. We know that. We've heard that, right? We know that as kids, and it's like, oh, it's great to be different. But it's not celebrated in how we live. It's not celebrated in a lot of cultures. It's not celebrated every day. So we need to create that connection, celebration, credit to ourselves for actually owning who we are, being all of who we are, and just allowing ourselves to do that, even when it's scary, even when it feels uncomfortable, knowing that authenticity, for me, it's the reason for being. Like Carl Jung says, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you are. To be who you are is just like the greatest gift, because what else are we doing here? We're not here to be anyone else. You don't see things the way everyone else sees things. You don't have the gifts that other people might have. You have your own. You have your own way. You have your own view. You have your own perspective. You have your own vision. You have your own mission. You have your own purpose. And we all do. And it's so important to connect to that, to see what that is, to allow that to come forward, to allow that be known, to allow that be felt in your whole being, because that's what you're here for. And your authenticity just matters so much. I feel so passionate about it. That's why what I do is to help people to reconnect to that, to help people to stop looking around them for like, how do I live my life, and be like, what do you think? How do you want to live it? How does your authentic voice want you to be speaking about yourself right now? How does your authentic voice and vision see your life? That's what I want to help people with, because there's no point in us just being here having this unique human experience if we're just going to try and do it like everyone else, or we're just going to try and look around us for what we're supposed to be doing, or what they should say, or what the expectations are. Screw that. Like, you are here with your own mind, with your own vision, with your own whole life experience for a reason. And so if you can connect to that, if you can find your way home to that, if you want assistance with that, that's what I'm here for. But just reconnecting to that truth and authenticity is a massive deal. It's a massively, profoundly important and powerful shift to make. So that is my TED Talk for today. Thank you for attending. I will see all you beautiful people tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.